The final week of the diplomatic mission passed quickly. The atmosphere on Harmony's Light changed completely. Fear was still present, hidden beneath the surface like a deep ocean current. But something new had grown on top of it. Something that felt almost like friendship. June spent most of his time with Tay, the ship's security officer. At first, Tay had been the most afraid. He had kept his hand near his weapon whenever the humans were close. He had watched them constantly, waiting for the attack he was certain would come. But June had been patient. He had asked Tay about Valori weapons. He had shown genuine interest in their defensive strategies. He had admitted, openly and honestly, that humans had much to learn about peaceful conflict resolution. On our world, June told Tay one evening, security officers are often the first to die in conflicts. We have learned to respect those who protect others. It is not an easy job. Tay had relaxed slightly. Your people have security officers? Many kinds. Some protect individuals. Some protect communities. Some protect entire nations. It is difficult work. The threats never stop coming. What kinds of threats? June had been quiet for a moment. Other humans, mostly. We are still learning to live with each other. Progress is slow. But you are making progress? Yes, slowly but surely. The wars get smaller. The peace gets longer. Each generation is a little better than the last. Tay had thought about this for a long time. Finally, he had put his weapon away. Perhaps, he said, I can help you learn faster. Meanwhile, Hannah spent her days with Kirith. The xenobiologist had overcome his initial terror and become fascinated by human biology. He asked hundreds of questions. Hannah answered them all. Your bodies heal remarkably fast, Kirith observed one afternoon. A cut that would take a Valori weeks to recover from heals on a human in days. We had to heal quickly, Hannah explained. Our ancestors lived in a dangerous world. Those who healed slowly did not survive long enough to have children. Everything about your species is adapted for survival. Everything about every species is adapted for survival. We are just more aggressive about it. Kirith laughed nervously. Hannah smiled. I'm joking, she said. Mostly. Byro, the young crew member, became the most enthusiastic about the humans. He followed them around the ship, asking questions about Earth. He wanted to know about human music, human food, human art, human everything. You have so many different cultures, he said in amazement. Thousands of languages. Millions of traditions. How do you keep track of it all? We do not, June admitted. We forget things constantly. Old languages die. Old traditions fade. New ones take their place. Human culture is always changing. That sounds chaotic. It is. It is. But it is also beautiful. Every human is different. Every community is different. We are united by our species, but we are separated by everything else. It makes life interesting. Byro tilted his head. That does not sound efficient. It is not efficient at all. But efficiency is not everything. Sometimes the messiest solutions are the most creative. The young Valori had no idea what to make of this. But he found himself nodding anyway. On the final day of the mission, Captain Sarn called a meeting of the entire crew. June and Hannah were invited to attend. The gathering took place in the main observation lounge. Through the lodge windows, Earth hung in space like a blue jewel. It looked so peaceful from here. So ordinary. Soren stood at the front of the room. Her posture was straight and confident. She had made a decision, and she was ready to announce it. I have completed my report to the Galactic Union, she said. It contains everything we have learned about humanity. The biological data, the historical records, the psychological analysis. All of it. The crew waited nervously. My recommendation is that humanity be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Union. A murmur passed through the room. Some crew members looked relieved. Others looked worried. Tay simply nodded. This recommendation comes with conditions, Soren continued. Humans will be monitored closely. Their weapons development will be observed. Their expansion into space will be guided. They will not be trusted immediately. June stood up. That is fair. We would not trust us immediately either. But, Soren said, and her voice softened, my report also includes a personal observation. In my experience with these two humans, I have seen something remarkable. I have seen creatures who know exactly what they are capable of, and who choose to be something better. She turned to face June and Hannah directly. That choice means more than any biological data. It means more than history. You are predators who have decided to pursue peace. That is not weakness. That is strength. Hannah's eyes were wet. She said nothing, but her gratitude was clear. My final recommendation to the Galactic Union is this. Do not make enemies of this species, ever. But if you can earn their friendship, do so, because the same traits that make them terrifying would make them the most loyal allies in the galaxy. The meeting ended. The crew dispersed to prepare for the humans' departure. But the atmosphere had changed permanently. Something had been gained that could not be easily lost. The human shuttle was waiting in the docking bay. June and Hannah had packed their few belongings. They stood at the airlock, preparing to say goodbye. Kirith approached them first. His hands were steady now. His fear had transformed into respect. I have studied thousands of species, he said. None of them have confused me as much as you. Is that a good thing? Hannah asked. I think it is. You have given me much to think about. I suspect I will be thinking about humanity for the rest of my life. June clasped his arm in the Valori gesture of farewell. We will give you more to think about. This is only the beginning. Tay came next. He stood awkwardly for a moment, then extended his weapon. It was his personal sidearm, polished and well-maintained. What is this? June asked. A gift. Among my people, we give weapons to those we trust. It is a sign of respect. June took the weapon carefully. I am honored. I will take good care of it. I know you will. You understand the responsibility that comes with such things. Lyra was last. He was holding a small data pad. I recorded everything, he said. All our conversations. All the stories you told me about Earth. I want to remember. Hannah smiled. Remember the good parts. I will try, but I will remember all of it. The good and the bad. That is what makes you interesting. Ben, you already understand us better than most. Captain Soren stepped forward. She had a small box in her hands. This is a communicator, she said. It will allow us to stay in contact across any distance. I would like to continue our conversations. Hannah took the box. So would I? Perhaps next time you can visit our planet. Perhaps. Soren paused. Would it be safe? For friends? Yes. For enemies? Hannah shrugged. Nothing is safe for enemies on our world. It was a simple statement of fact. No threat, no boast. Just truth. The humans boarded their shuttle. The airlock closed behind them. Through the small window, the crew watched the shuttle detach and drift toward the blue planet below. Kirith stood at the observation window long after the shuttle disappeared. Byro found him there, staring at Earth. Do you think they will be good allies? Byro asked. Kirith thought about everything he had learned. The persistence hunting. The nuclear weapons. The 70 million dead in a single war. The hospitals and doctors. The teachers and artists. The soldiers and peacemakers. He thought about June's calm smile and Hannah's warm eyes. He thought about the ancient predator hidden beneath their gentle surfaces, and he thought about what Captain Soren had said, about creatures who knew what they could become and chose something different. "I think," Kirith said slowly, "that we are very lucky they wanted friends instead of prey." Byro nodded. He looked out at the stars, at the infinite darkness between worlds. "Do you think there are other species out there like them?" "I hope not. One humanity is enough for the galaxy. Is that a joke?" Kirith turned to look at the young crew member. For the first time since the analysis began, he smiled. "Mostly," he said. "Mostly." The Harmony's light turned away from Earth and began its long journey home. Behind them, the blue planet continued to spin. 8 billion predators lived on its surface. 8 billion creatures who had conquered death, tamed fire, and reached for the stars. They were coming to the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days passed. The crew of Harmony's Light moved through the ship like ghosts. They spoke quietly. They jumped at small sounds. They watched the doors constantly, as if expecting something terrible to come through. The two humans noticed the change. Of course they did. June and Hannah were not foolish. They saw how the crew avoided them. They heard the whispers that stopped whenever they entered a room. They felt the fear that surrounded them like invisible walls. On the morning of the 4th day, Hannah asked to speak with Captain Soren. They met in the captain's office. Soren sat behind her desk, trying to appear calm. Her hands were hidden beneath the table, so Hannah could not see them shake. "Something has changed," Hannah said. She sat in the chair across from Soren. Her posture was relaxed. Her voice was gentle. "Your crew used to smile at us. Now they look away. I would like to know why." Soren considered lying. She considered making up some excuse about protocol or regulations. But something stopped her. Maybe it was the honesty in Hannah's eyes. Maybe it was the quiet dignity in her voice. Maybe it was simply exhaustion. "We analyzed your DNA," Soren said. "The computer told us what you are." Hannah nodded slowly. "Ah, I see. You knew this would happen?" "We suspected. Every species that studies humans has the same reaction. First they see us as harmless. Then they see the truth. Then they become afraid. Can you blame us?" Soren's voice was sharper than she intended. "Your species has conquered your entire planet. You have weapons that can destroy worlds. You hunt and kill other creatures for food. You even kill each other in massive wars." Hannah did not flinch. She did not argue. She simply listened. "Yes," she said when Soren finished. "All of that is true. Then how can you sit there so calmly? How can you act like this is normal?" Hannah was quiet for a moment. She seemed to be choosing her words carefully. "We know what we are," she said finally. "We have spent our entire history trying to understand ourselves, trying to control the darkness inside us. It has not been easy. We have failed many times. But we keep trying. Why? Why bother trying if violence is your nature? Because violence is not our only nature." Hannah leaned forward slightly. "Captain Soren, did your computer tell you about human doctors?" "Doctors?" "Yes. Humans who dedicate their entire lives to healing others. They spend decades learning medicine. They work long hours under terrible conditions. They save lives every single day. Some of them travel to dangerous places just to help strangers they will never see again." Soren blinked. "I did not ask about doctors. What about teachers? Humans who spend their lives sharing knowledge with the young? They receive little payment and even less respect, but they continue because they believe education matters." "I do not understand your point." "My point is that humans are more than predators. Yes, we can kill. Yes, we have killed. But we can also love. We can create. We can sacrifice ourselves for others. We build hospitals next to battlefields. We write poetry about the stars while we build rockets to reach them. Hannah's eyes were bright with emotion. But it was not anger. It was something softer. Something almost like hope. We came here to prove something, she continued. Not just to you. To ourselves. We want to show that humans can be peaceful. That we can make friends instead of enemies. That our future does not have to be written in blood. Soren felt something shift inside her. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Curiosity, perhaps. Or respect. Computer, she said, run a psychological analysis of the human species. Focus on positive social behaviors. The screen on her wall flickered to life. Beginning analysis, the computer said. Human positive behaviors include cooperative child rearing, altruistic sacrifice for non-relatives, cross-species emotional bonding, artistic expression, philosophical inquiry, and long-term planning for future generations. Explain the cross-species bonding, Soren said. Humans form emotional attachments to non-human species. These attachments are often as strong as bonds between family members. Humans will risk their lives to protect animals they have bonded with. They mourn the deaths of these animals as they would mourn the death of a loved one. Hannah smiled softly. I have a dog at home. His name is Maru. He sleeps at the foot of my bed every night. He greets me when I come home as if he has not seen me in years, even if I was only gone for an hour. You love this creature? More than I can explain. The computer continued. Humans also demonstrate remarkable capacity for forgiveness and reconciliation. Former enemies have become close allies within single generations. Nations that fought devastating wars now cooperate peacefully. Individuals who have suffered terrible losses often choose peace over revenge. That seems contradictory, Soren said. How can such violent creatures also be capable of forgiveness? The human experience is defined by internal conflict, the computer explained. Every human contains the potential for both destruction and creation. They are constantly choosing between these impulses. Their entire civilization is built around systems designed to encourage positive choices and discourage negative ones. Laws, Hannah added. Ethics, religion, philosophy, art. All of these things help us remember who we want to be. They remind us that we have a choice. Soren looked at the human woman sitting across from her. She tried to see past the gentle smile and warm eyes. She tried to see the predator lurking beneath the surface, and she found it. It was there, hidden deep but undeniable. The ancient hunter. The tireless pursuer. The creature that had conquered a death world through pure determination. But she also saw something else. Something that gave her hope. She saw someone trying to be better. Why did you really come here? Soren asked. Your species has space travel. You have weapons. You could have demanded recognition from the Galactic Union. You could have threatened us and proved everyone right about us. Hannah shook her head. No, we came peacefully because we want peace. We came unarmed because we want trust. We came as guests because we hope to become friends. That is a significant risk. What if we had attacked you? Hannah's smile faded slightly. For just a moment, something cold flickered in her eyes. Then you would have proven that the galaxy is exactly as dangerous as we feared. And humanity would have responded accordingly. The words hung in the air between them. Soren understood the unspoken message perfectly. We came in peace. But we are prepared for war. Fortunately, Hannah said, and the warmth returned to her face. That has not happened. You have shown us curiosity instead of hostility. Fear instead of violence. That gives us hope. Hope for what? Hope that we are not alone in wanting something better. Hope that the stars contain friends instead of enemies. Hope that our children will grow up in a galaxy that does not require them to be warriors. Soren stood up. She walked around her desk and stood in front of Hana. "You are the strangest creatures I have ever encountered," she said. "You terrify me. Everything about your species should make me want to run away." Hana waited. "But I find myself wanting to believe you. I want to believe that peace is possible." Hana extended her hand. It was a human gesture of friendship. Soren knew. A sign of trust. She looked at that hand. Those 5 fingers. That soft skin. And she remembered that the same hands that offered friendship had once thrown spears at mammoths, built nuclear weapons, and conquered an entire world. She took Hana's hand anyway, because maybe that was how peace began. Not with the absence of fear, but with the decision to trust despite being afraid. "Let us try something new," Soren said. "Let us try being friends." Hana's smile was the brightest thing in the room. "I would like that very much." The crew of Harmony's Light did not sleep that night. They gathered in small groups and spoke in whispers. They looked at each other with wide, frightened eyes. The computer's words echoed in their minds. Apex Predator. Death World. 8 billion. Kirith stayed in the laboratory. He could not bring himself to leave. He sat in front of the computer screen and stared at the data. There had to be a mistake. There had to be some explanation that made sense. Captain Soren found him there in the early hours of the morning. She looked tired. Dark circles had formed under her large eyes. "You have not rested," she said. "I cannot rest," Kirith replied. "I need to understand." She sat down beside him. "Then let us understand together. Computer, display the evolutionary history of the human species." The screen flickered to life. A timeline appeared, stretching back millions of years. Human evolutionary history begins approximately 7 million years ago. The computer began. Early ancestors were small and vulnerable. They lived in trees to avoid ground-based predators. They had no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons of any kind. Then how did they become predators? Soren asked. They adapted. When climate change destroyed their forest homes, they were forced onto open plains. Instead of dying out, they changed. They stood upright to see over tall grass. They developed larger brains to solve problems. They created the first tools. The screen showed images of primitive stone tools, simple rocks that had been shaped into cutting edges. These early tools were crude but effective. Humans used them to cut meat from dead animals. Later, they learned to hunt. They formed groups. They communicated. They developed strategies. What did they hunt? Kirith asked. Everything. The screen displayed a massive creature with long curved tusks. It towered over the human figure standing beside it. This is a mammoth. It weighed approximately 6,000 kilograms. It had thick fur, heavy awning-like skin, and tusks that could impale any attacker. It was the dominant large animal of its time. And humans hunted this creature? Humans drove this creature to extinction. They hunted mammoths so successfully that the entire species disappeared. The same fate befell dozens of other large species. Everywhere humans spread, the large animals vanished. Captain Soren leaned forward. They eliminated entire species? Hundreds of them. Possibly thousands. When humans arrived on new continents, mass extinctions followed. They did not just compete with other predators. They removed them completely. The screen showed more images. Giant bears. Enormous cats with teeth like swords. Massive birds that could not fly. One by one, they appeared and then faded to gray. All extinct, the computer confirmed. All eliminated by human hunting, human competition, or human alteration of their environment. Kirith felt a chill run down his spine. They changed their environment? Extensively. Humans do not adapt to their surroundings like other species. They change their surroundings to suit themselves. They cut down forests. They drain water from lakes and rivers. They reshape mountains. They control the weather in local areas. Their planet no longer resembles its natural state. They control weather? Soren sounded doubtful. On a limited scale, yes. They can create rain. They can prevent certain storms. They have even discussed changing the temperature of their entire planet. Their technology allows them to modify almost any environment. The timeline continued forward. Images of early human settlements appeared. Small groups of huts became villages. Villages became cities. Cities became nations. As human populations grew, they began to compete with each other. This led to organized conflict, warfare. The screen showed ancient battles. Humans in metal armor fighting with swords and spears. Early human wars were small. A few hundred fighters on each side. Casualties numbered in the dozens or hundreds. The images changed. The weapons became more advanced. Explosions appeared. As technology improved, wars became larger. During their most recent global conflict, approximately 70 million humans died. 70 million? Byro had entered the laboratory without anyone noticing. His face was pale. They killed 70 million of their own kind? Correct. And then they continued to develop even more destructive weapons. The screen showed a massive explosion. A cloud shaped like a mushroom rose into the sky. This is a nuclear weapon. It releases energy by splitting atoms. A single weapon can destroy an entire city. Humans have built approximately 12,000 of these weapons. They have the capability to destroy all life on their planet multiple times over. The laboratory was silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Why would they build such things? Kirith whispered. Protection. Deterrence. Humans feared that other human groups would attack them. So they built weapons powerful enough to discourage any attack. It is called mutually assured destruction. If one group attacks, both groups die. This has prevented large-scale conflict for several decades. They avoid war by threatening to destroy everything? Essentially, yes. Captain Soren stood up. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Her hands were clasped tightly behind her back. Computer, she said, what other threats have humans faced on their planet? Numerous threats. Disease killed millions throughout their history. Humans responded by creating medicine. They developed treatments for conditions that once killed entire populations. They have extended their average lifespan from approximately 30 years to over 70 years. They doubled their lifespan through technology? More than doubled, yes. They also conquered many of the natural predators on their planet. Large cats, wolves, bears, and other dangerous animals were either killed or contained. Humans built walls and fences to keep predators out. They created weapons specifically designed to kill anything that threatened them. The screen showed images of wolves. Beautiful creatures with thick fur and sharp eyes. Some predators, however, were not killed. They were tamed. Humans took wolves, one of the most effective pack hunters on their planet, and turned them into loyal companions. These domesticated wolves, called dogs, now number in the hundreds of millions. They live with humans. They protect humans. They love humans. They made predators into pets? Kirith could not believe what he was hearing. Not just predators. Humans have domesticated hundreds of species. They keep animals for food, for labor, for companionship, and for entertainment. Some humans keep venomous snakes as pets. Others keep large cats that could easily kill them. The human ability to form bonds with other species is remarkable. Byro shook his head slowly. I do not understand. Are they monsters or not? That question has no simple answer, the computer replied. Humans are capable of extreme violence and extreme kindness. They have caused tremendous destruction and tremendous creation. They wage war and make peace. They kill and they heal. They are contradictions. That makes no sense, Kirith said. Human psychology is complex. They experience intense emotions: love, hate, fear, hope. These emotions drive them to actions that seem contradictory to outside observers. A human will kill to protect someone they love. A human will sacrifice their own life to save a stranger. They cannot be classified by simple behavioral models. Captain Soren turned back to face the room. So they are unpredictable. Highly unpredictable. However, historical data suggests that humans respond positively to respect, fairness, and genuine friendship. They punish betrayal harshly, but reward loyalty generously. They can be trusted if they choose to trust you first. Kira thought about June and Hannah. They had been so calm, so patient. They had answered every question honestly. They had made no threats. Perhaps the computer was right. Perhaps humans could be friends. But the images of mushroom clouds and extinct species still burned in his mind. These creatures had the power to destroy worlds. They had already proven they would use that power. The question was, what would they do next? And did the crew of Harmony's Light want to find out? The laboratory was silent. Every member of the crew stood frozen in place. Their eyes were fixed on the screen. Their hearts beat faster than normal. The computer had called humans predators. Now it was about to explain why. Kirith's hands trembled slightly. He had classified over 2,000 species in his career. He had seen creatures with poisonous skin, animals with razor-sharp teeth, and beasts that could crush metal with their bare claws. None of those discoveries had prepared him for this moment. "Display primary predator indicators," he commanded. The computer obeyed. A detailed image of a human appeared on the screen. It rotated slowly, showing the body from every angle. Indicator 1. The computer began. Ocular positioning. The image zoomed in on the human's face. 2 eyes sat at the front of the skull, facing forward. Both eyes are positioned for binocular vision, the computer explained. This allows for precise depth perception and accurate distance calculation. This eye placement is found only in predator species. Prey species have eyes on the sides of their heads to watch for danger. Humans have eyes designed to track and chase targets. A murmur passed through the crowd. Several crew members touched their own faces. The Lori eyes were positioned on the sides of their heads. They could see almost completely around themselves. This had always made them feel safe. Now they understood why. They were built like prey. Indicator 2, the computer continued. Skeletal structure. The image changed to show the human skeleton. It stood upright on 2 legs. Humans are bipedal pursuit predators. Their bone structure is optimized for long-distance movement. The legs contain large spring-like tendons that store and release energy efficiently. The spine is curved to absorb impact. The hips are positioned to allow continuous forward motion for extended periods. What do you mean by extended periods? Captain Soren asked. Humans can maintain pursuit of prey for distances exceeding 40 kilometers. In some documented cases, they have tracked targets for over 100 kilometers before the target collapsed from exhaustion. Byro made a small sound of disbelief. 100 kilometers? That is impossible. Nothing can run that far. Humans do not run, the computer corrected. They walk. They jog. They move at a steady pace that most prey species cannot maintain. While their target runs and stops to rest, humans continue forward. They do not stop. They do not tire easily. They simply follow until the prey can no longer move. The room felt colder. Kirith imagined being chased by something that never stopped. Something that just kept coming, hour after hour, day after day. The thought made him feel sick. Indicator 3, the computer said. Thermoregulation. A diagram appeared showing human skin. Humans have a highly advanced cooling system. Their bodies are covered with millions of sweat glands. When they become hot, moisture is released through the skin. This moisture evaporates and removes heat from the body. This allows humans to remain active in conditions that would cause other species to overheat and collapse. Other predators cannot do this? Kirith asked. Most predators rely on short bursts of speed. They attack quickly and retreat if they fail. Their bodies generate too much heat for extended activity. Humans are different. They can chase prey under the hot sun for hours, while their target slowly dies from heat exhaustion. Captain Soren closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her face was pale. Continue. Indicator 4. Upper limb structure. The image focused on human arms and shoulders. Human arms are designed for throwing. The shoulder joint has an unusual range of motion. The arm can rotate backward and then snap forward with extreme speed. This allows humans to throw objects with great force and accuracy. Historical records indicate that early humans killed large prey by throwing sharpened rocks and wooden spears from a distance. They killed from a distance? Byro's voice was barely a whisper. Correct. Humans did not need to catch their prey directly. They simply threw weapons until the target fell. This made them effective hunters, even against much larger and more dangerous creatures. Kira thought about the two humans resting in their quarters. Their arms had looked so ordinary, so harmless. But according to the computer, those arms were weapons. Indicator 5. Digestive system. An image of human internal organs appeared. Humans are omnivores with a digestive system capable of processing both plant matter and raw animal flesh. Their stomach acid is highly corrosive, able to break down uncooked meat and kill most harmful bacteria. They can survive on almost any food source, which allowed them to spread across their entire planet. They eat meat? Someone asked. They eat everything, the computer replied. Meat, plants, insects, fish, eggs. They consume other species as a primary food source. They are not scavengers. They actively hunt, kill, and eat other animals. The room was completely silent now. The Valori were herbivores. They ate only plants and synthetic nutrition. The idea of eating another creature was horrifying to them. Indicator 6. Immune response. Human bodies contain an aggressive defense system against disease. When infected, the body deliberately raises its internal temperature to kill the invading organisms. This is called a fever. Humans essentially cook infections to death inside their own bodies. Indicator 7. Adrenal response. The screen showed a diagram of human brain chemistry. When threatened, humans release a chemical called adrenaline. This chemical temporarily increases strength, speed, and pain tolerance. Humans under the effects of adrenaline have been documented lifting objects many times their own weight. They have continued fighting after receiving injuries that should have rendered them unconscious or dead. They ignore pain? Captain Soren asked. Temporarily, yes. The pain is still present, but the brain suppresses it. Humans have been known to complete complex tasks with broken bones, severe bleeding, and other critical injuries. The adrenaline keeps them functional until the threat is resolved. Kirith felt his legs grow weak. He sat down heavily in the nearest chair. Indicator 8. Social hunting patterns. Humans are pack hunters. They work together in coordinated groups to bring down prey much larger and stronger than themselves. They communicate during hunts using verbal signals and hand gestures. They plan attacks in advance. They set traps. They use the terrain to their advantage. Indicator 9. Tool creation and use. Humans create weapons and tools from their environment. They started with stone and wood. They progressed to metal. They eventually created weapons capable of destroying entire cities from orbit. Their tool-making ability is the most advanced of any species on record. The computer paused. The crew waited. Summary of classification. The computer announced. Species, Homo sapiens. Homeworld, Earth, Class 12 Death World. Status, Apex Cooperative Predator. Threat level, maximum. Recommendation, extreme caution advised in all. Interactions. Class 12. Death World. Kirith had never heard of anything higher than Class 10. He had assumed Class 10 was the maximum danger. Rating, computer, he said. What is a Class 12 Death World? A planet with environmental conditions and native life forms that should prevent the development of intelligent species. Earth experiences extreme temperature variations, frequent natural disasters, high levels of dangerous radiation, and contains millions of predatory species. Statistically, no sentient life should have evolved there. But humans did evolve there. Correct. Humans not only evolved on a Class 12 Death World, they conquered it. They became the dominant predator. They eliminated or controlled every threat on their planet. There are currently 8 billion of them. 8 billion. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. Captain Soren turned to look at the door. Somewhere on this ship, 2 of those 8 billion predators were resting peacefully. They had smiled at the crew. They had spoken gentle words. They had allowed themselves to be examined without complaint. And now the crew understood that those soft, friendly creatures were the most dangerous organisms the Galactic Union had ever encountered. What do we do? Byro asked. His voice shook. Nobody had an answer. The research vessel drifted slowly through the darkness of space. Its name was Harmony's Light, and it belonged to the Galactic Union. The ship was old, but reliable. It had traveled to hundreds of planets and studied thousands of species. The crew had seen many strange things in their years of exploration, but they had never seen anything like the planet below them, Earth. That was what the natives called it. A small blue world covered in water and green land. From orbit, it looked peaceful. Beautiful, even. The Valori crew had no reason to think otherwise. Kira stood at the observation window and watched the planet spin slowly beneath them. He was the chief xenobiologist on the ship. His job was to study new species and classify them for the Galactic Union database. He had done this work for 30 years. He was good at it. He was also very calm. Nothing surprised him anymore, or so he thought. The door behind him opened with a soft hiss. Captain Soren walked in. She was tall for a Valori, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. She moved with the careful grace of someone who had commanded ships for many years. "The human ambassadors are ready," she said. "They are waiting in the medical bay." Kirith nodded. "I will collect the samples now." He walked through the curved hallways of the ship. The walls were smooth and white. The air smelled clean and sterile. Everything on a Valori ship was designed for comfort and safety. They were not a warrior species. They had no claws, no fangs, no armor. They survived by being smart and careful. The medical bay was at the center of the ship. When Kirith arrived, he found 2 humans sitting on examination chairs. They looked relaxed. One was a male named June. He had short black hair and calm brown eyes. The other was a female named Hana. She had longer hair and a warm smile. Both of them were dressed in simple gray clothes. They carried no weapons. They had come aboard peacefully as guests of the Galactic Union. "Hello," Hana said. Her voice was soft and friendly. "Are you the scientist?" Kirith tilted his head in the Valori gesture of greeting. "Yes, I am Kirith." I will be collecting your biological samples today. It is a standard procedure for all new species. June nodded. We understand. Take whatever you need. Kirith found this answer strange. Most species were nervous about giving samples. Some refused entirely, but these humans seemed completely comfortable. They did not ask questions. They did not show fear. He took a small device from the table. It was a genetic sampler. He pressed it gently against June's arm. There was a soft click, and the device collected a tiny amount of blood. That is all? June asked. Yes, the process is painless. Good, June smiled. It was a small smile, but something about it made Kirith pause. He could not explain why. He repeated the process with Hana. She did not flinch at all. She just watched him with those warm brown eyes. Thank you for your cooperation, Kirith said. The analysis will take some time. You may return to your quarters. The humans stood up. They were not tall by Valori standards, but they moved with a strange confidence. Their steps were quiet. Their eyes scanned the room naturally, taking in every detail. Kirith watched them leave. He felt something strange in his chest. It was not fear. It was more like the feeling he got when he saw a puzzle he could not solve. He pushed the feeling aside. He had work to do. The Universal Species Classification System was kept in the main laboratory. It was the most advanced computer in the known galaxy. It could analyze any biological sample and determine everything about a species. Their history, their abilities, their place in the food chain. Kirith loaded the human sample into the machine. Around him, several other crew members gathered to watch. This was always the exciting part. Learning about a new species was what they lived for. Beginning analysis, the computer said. Its voice was calm and mechanical. The screen filled with data. Genetic sequences scrolled past faster than any eye could follow. The computer was reading the entire story of humanity written in their blood. Kirith waited. The analysis usually took about 10 seconds. After 30 seconds, he began to feel concerned. Is there a problem? Asked Byro. He was a young crew member, barely out of training. He stood at the back of the group, trying to see over the others. I do not know, Kirith admitted. The system has never taken this long. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Warning lights began to flicker on the console. The computer made a strange humming sound. Captain Soren entered the laboratory. What is happening? I received an alert. The classification system is having difficulty, Kirith said. I do not understand why. Finally, after 3 full minutes, the computer spoke. Clarification required. The room went silent. Kirith had never heard the computer ask for clarification before. It was supposed to know everything. What clarification do you need? He asked. The computer's response made no sense. Which predator species are we classifying today? Kirith blinked. He checked the sample container to make sure it was correct. It was. The sample was definitely from the human called June. There must be an error, he said. The sample is from a human. Species designation, Homo sapiens. Planet of origin, Earth. Confirmed, the computer replied. The sample is from a human. Clarification still required. Which predator species are we classifying today? A nervous laugh came from somewhere in the group. Predator? Someone whispered. Those soft little creatures? Kirith remembered the 2 humans in the medical bay. They had been so polite, so friendly. They smiled and spoke gently. They had no claws, no fangs, no armor of any kind. Their skin was soft. Their bodies were small. How could the computer possibly classify them as predators? Computer, Kirith said slowly, please explain your classification request. Human DNA contains markers consistent with apex predator species, the computer replied. Physical structure, sensory organs, and metabolic systems all indicate a highly developed predatory organism. Standard prey species classification does not apply. The laboratory fell completely silent. Everyone stared at the screen. The data continued to scroll, but no one could read it now. They were all too shocked. Captain Soren stepped forward. Her voice was steady, but Kirith could see the tension in her shoulders. "Computer," she said, "are you certain?" These creatures showed no aggressive behavior. They came aboard peacefully. Behavioral patterns are not relevant to biological classification, the computer answered. The physical evidence is clear. Humans are predators. Analysis will now continue. Kirith felt a cold sensation spread through his body. He thought about June's calm smile. He thought about Hana's warm eyes, and for the first time in 30 years, he felt afraid. The computer began to display its findings. The crew of Harmony's Light gathered closer to the screen. None of them spoke. None of them moved. They were about to learn the truth about humanity. And the truth was terrifying.